So you said Mary is sinless.
Yes.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because the scripture says so.
Well, actually, I think the scripture says all have sinned and Jesus is the only sinless person. But sure, where do you get this from? Luke 1:28.
You talked about Romans 3:23.
You said what?
You said, are you talking about Romans 3:23?
No, I'm talking about like everywhere in the Bible. There's multiple places in the Bible where it says all have sinned, right? It says every person has sinned and some. Yes, I can show you. Yes, let me find the verse. Oh yeah. So the first one is in Romans chapter 3, verse 23. The second one is Romans chapter 3, verse 10. Another one is 1 John chapter 1, verse 8. Another one is Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 20. I can go on, including in Psalms and Galatians and Luke.
Yeah, beautiful. So within those verses, it says that all have sinned, right? Do you take this in a literal sense?
Well, for example, right? In Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 20, it says, "Indeed, there is no one on earth who is righteous, and no one who does what is right and never sins," right? Other than Jesus Christ, as it also says Jesus is sinless in the Bible specifically, right? And we see this verse, it says, "No one on earth is righteous."
Yeah, no one on earth is righteous, right? So when we go to James 2, it calls Abraham righteous. Is this a contradiction?
Repeat that again.
So in James chapter 2, when it calls Abraham righteous, is this a contradiction?
Yeah, because he was righteous because of his faith in God, right? Because he was a person who never sinned.
Hold on. So yes, this is a contradiction.
No, that's not what I said, right? I said Abraham was righteous because of his faith in God, right? If we read the actual story about Abraham, right, we see he's called righteous because of his faith in God, not because he was a sinless person, right? Because if you're looking at James chapter 2, verse 23, it says Abraham believed in God and he was counted to him as righteous, right? That's why it's important to read context and not cherry pick. So if we see this Bible verse, right, James is talking about faith being shown as genuine through actions, right? So he's not saying Abraham is morally perfect. So I feel like you're not reading the context here.
Yeah, brother, I agree with your interpretation. Abraham wasn't made righteous through faith, right? So we have an example of somebody who's righteous, correct? So we have an example of somebody who is righteous, correct?
Sure.
Beautiful. So when it says that no one is righteous, is this a contradiction?
No, because it says right after that, no one has not sinned, right? If you read the entire verse. In the verse, it says that in the verse.
Where does it say that in the verse?
Right, it just read the verse and it says.
Read it.
Yeah, I just told you. Oh my goodness.
Read it.
Yeah. Oh, he's yelling at me now, guys. Oh my goodness. He's a demon crusher. Anyway, it says, "Indeed, there is no one on earth who is righteous, no one who does what is right and never sins." Right? That's the entire verse. So it's clearly talking about sin.
What translation are you reading?
I can read multiple.
Are you reading the NIV?
Oh, hold on. Let me skip the heck. Oh, it's ESV. Well, ESV, NIV, yeah, KJV, NIV, ESV, they all say the exact same thing. KJV, it says, "For there is," well, not the exact same thing, but like, yeah, KJV says, "For there is not a just man upon earth that doeth good and sinneth not," right? NIV says something.
So I can simply take this as being simply hyperbolic because we do know that there are righteous people in the scriptures. Scripture points to David being righteous.
Right, but you're not really listening.
So I can simply just put this as hyperbolic. So do you have another example? Because that's not a strong argument.
Yeah, but you're not really listening, right? Because if we see what the verse is saying, right after it says no one is righteous, it says no one has not sinned, right?
Yeah,
Because
brother,
if we see, no, I let you talk, right? So if we see, yes, there's many people called righteous in the Bible, but it's because of their faith, as we shown in their stories, as it says, like in James, right? It's because of their
Mary
faith in
is
God.
sinless through the grace.
Now, if we go to Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 20,
Yeah, you just keep
right?
speaking and speaking and speaking. Just get to the point. Can you get to the point?
Like I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, I can't wait to post this on YouTube. But if we look at Ecclesiastes, right, when we see the word righteous in Ecclesiastes, right after that, it says, there is no one righteous who never sins. So it's talking about sin, not about faith in God as righteousness, right? No one on earth has never sinned. Therefore, Mary is included on earth, right? For example, we see this many times in the Bible. All have sinned, right? Specifically Ecclesiastes, it says, "No one is righteous who never sins." Right, so it's not talking about righteous people in faith.
Repeat, just after that. Right, beautiful. So we don't hold that Mary is sinless through her own merit. She's made sinless through the grace of God, right? You do understand that?
What?
Yeah, Mary isn't sinless through her own merit. She's made sinless through the grace of God. You know that we agree with that, right?
Her own what?
She is not sinless through her own merit. She is sinless through the grace of God. So this does not contradict that scripture, even if we were to take it literally. However, I cannot accept your interpretation of this scripture because your interpretation is that literally nobody was righteous. However, when we go to James and we even go to Paul in Romans 4, he calls Abraham righteous. So we have examples of righteous people, but let me grant you that, right? That they're only righteous through the grace of God, right? But Mary's made sinless through the grace of God as well. So deal with that.
No, you're mixing terms again, right? You're just ignoring the context and then saying, "Oh, Mary is sinless," right? And then, so if we read this, yes, it says Paul and James are righteous, but the Bible uses that word in a completely different way if we read the context, right? The context, and you interrupt me. The context says that they were righteous because of their faith, right? They were righteous because of their faith. Because of their faith. If we read Ecclesiastes, it says, once again, I'm going to read it because you're not really listening here, right? So the Ecclesiastes, yes, and your response was not correct, right? Because Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 20, it says, no, and then he interrupts me again. So Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 20, right? It says,
hold on, you made an epistemic claim, and you said I'm incorrect.
He just put me down again.